This was something that I would knit while I was in some of my lectures, which you probably shouldn't do because I didn't pay attention. My name is Anastazja. I am from the suburbs of Chicago, and I am a DJ and an artist. I actually made shakshuka this morning. So I put a little tomato dish, and then I had a steamed egg and 2 pieces of toast for breakfast. Vaseline. I always have these little baby Vaselines, and I travel with 10 of them. The textures of the little ones are different than the big ones because they're thicker, and I can't live without them. Phone scroll for 30 minutes when I wake up, unfortunately. I also have to have breakfast. That's always first before anything. On the plane, I like the window seat because I can sleep, and if I have the aisle, my neck tends to fall, so window. My earliest musical memory is Sundays, my dad playing gospel music, and then me actually playing music would be orchestra in 4th grade. First thing that comes to mind for a favorite film would be Waves and Everything Everything. I feel like those are just comfort movies. Not necessarily too much on the plot for Everything Everything. It's just a teeny romance movie, but Waves is also just a beautiful movie in general. Those Vine compilations, the 30-minute ones of just funny, try not to laugh compilations. I was not old enough before Vine got shut down to be on Vine, so I feel like I can't remember them too much off the top of my head. The most unique venue I performed in was in LA. It was at this venue called Creatington, this warehouse, and it was for this hamburger party. So it was hamburger themed. Everyone showed up in hamburger costumes, and to get into the venue, you had to go through this maze and build your own hamburger. And then at the end, they had hamburger burlesque, and then I DJ'd house music for an hour. Last album I listened to was Salt's, not the most recent one. I think it was called Set Your Spirit Free. I basically live in hotels because I travel all the time, so it has to have a lot of windows. Bed isn't necessarily a priority, a good shower. And I also love when a hotel has a stone shower so that when the stones get wet, you can kind of smell them a little bit. But yeah, the big windows thing is super important. So I wake up feeling refreshed and I'm not in a random box. A good meal, a good home cooked meal, I feel like it resets your system. Waking up and having a good breakfast is also something that means a lot. On the drive here, my theme song was actually by Dan Kai. I feel like it's upbeat, it's a little housey, it kind of builds. That's gonna be my theme song for now. Fall, but the first weeks of fall, because it's still summer hot, but the weather is absolutely beautiful, and it has to be in the Midwest. Because California fall is not the same as seeing the trees turn orange. My favorite BPM is 135. It's right in between house and techno and groove, where you can kind of go in between all 3 of them. Instagram. My second most used app is Pinterest. I've been a Pinterest girl through and through, and that was the first app that I ever downloaded probably. I use it for mood boards. I think when I'm kind of scrolling through and needing outfit inspiration, this morning I kind of went to my yearly folder. I have a 2026 inspiration, and I go through that and click some pins to find maybe something I have similar in my closet. If I could take an elevator ride with someone, it would be with Anthony Bourdain. Just to talk to him about travel and kind of the experience of meeting so many different people across the world, even when he was absolutely terrified or uncomfortable. My latest obsession would be knitwear, funky colors and funky knits, and that can be in-home design and also clothing. I don't think there's a time and a place that my best work comes out. I think under pressure, which is maybe not the healthiest, but usually when I'm traveling, I feel like I am immediately inspired and can go back into a hotel room or an Airbnb where I'm staying and feel I'm able to create something new. Groove. Hard groove has been my like most recent genre obsession. I think when I first started DJing, my sound went from like R&B, slower, like 90s BPM, and I've slowly climbed up. In this past year was house, but I've kind of been researching and getting more inspired by higher BPM, so hard groove is one of the sounds that I've been more into. A creative risk I took would be going to university for media art. I didn't really have much experience in it and I wanted to learn it. The program that I went to school for had graphic design, 3D modeling, touch designer, and then obviously I ended up starting to DJ from that. And I think if I hadn't taken that leap of faith in going to school for something that I was purely just interested in, I wouldn't be where I am now and making things and DJing and all of that. Recent book that I feel like was really inspiring, and I actually just got tattoos from it, was In Any Lifetime by Mark Guggenheim. It's a book about having all of these different realities of yourself that live and exist at the same time that you do. And the book itself talks about romance, but I think what I took from it was that like a single choice can change your entire life, and that made me, I guess, a little bit more confident in just trying new things. I'm a good traveler. I want to stand on that. I think I'm a good traveler. I think I've got the routine down, but people probably don't like sitting next to me on a flight because I'm so anxious and I kind of sit there the whole time and I'm like, I wake up from a nap and I look over and then I have to pee and they have to get up, and that happens like several times. But I think that's the only thing, is I get kind of antsy on flights. Other than that, I travel with packing cubes. I've got the Apple trackers everywhere. I'm always on time and everything is scheduled down to a T. So I wouldn't say I'm a bad traveler. Myself. I'm still curious about myself. I'm 22, so there's still so much that I don't know about myself and so much that I haven't explored. I'm still wanting to learn new languages, try new cuisines, go to different places, so there's so much that I'm still trying to figure out. I think I feel most at home when I'm surrounded by community. Because of my work, I'm never in one place for more than 2 weeks at a time, and I've had to learn to find things that make me comfortable. And, you know, having lunch with even just a new person or a familiar friend or going to a restaurant that I always revisit when I go to cities makes me feel like, you know, time has passed, but I'm still coming back as the same person, and it's kind of a comfort thing. I think I feel like a stranger maybe 70% of my days and wherever I'm going. Traveling also doesn't help that because I'm a stranger in a new place most of the time. But I think when I'm feeling more confident and having a good day, that feeling is a little bit less. What scares me in a way that feels exciting is traveling. It's terrifying to go to a new place in a new city and show up as yourself with your little bag of things and that's all that you know. I did it last year when I moved to Brazil for 3 months. I went there knowing very little Portuguese and knowing nobody, and then I left there as a completely different person, and that feeling is so thrilling to, I don't know, you experience a whole new place and whole new people, and that's terrifying until you go through it. I think I'm more in tension until it comes down to letting my gut decide final decisions. Because I'm an overthinker, so I like to plan everything step by step. But when I am really lost or I don't know what to do next, I will always trust my gut. I think the performing part has gotten scarier as I've developed more in DJing. Meeting new people and getting on a stage itself is pretty scary, but my favorite part is when you have a crowd and you've been able to read what everyone's vibe is and everyone's just having a good time. Everyone's really like in a zone dancing. That's probably my favorite part. When everyone's just dancing, hands in the air, you can see people are smiling, people in the corner are making out, someone in the corner is having an argument. It's just like pure human feelings, even if some of them aren't great, and then some people are having the worst time in the back. everyone's just coming to this setting to be present with other people and be present with music. And I know I've achieved it when, you know, you have a few drunk people holding up the like Bad Bunny sign. You have someone come over like pointing at the deck. Someone's in the back just having maybe a bit of a bad trip. But those are the nights that you walk away and like feel like the memories are the best, and you'll be recovering from that for like a week. So that's probably my favorite part. Maybe the adventurous side. While I'm in house music and dance music, I still am very explorative, and I feel like that comes through when you come to a set. I'll never fully commit to one sound. I don't know, you could get there feeling moody, and I think I let my emotions kind of drive the set and the emotions and energy of the crowd. So I think the adventurous part of myself comes through. Also, sometimes I like to get a little weird, make people uncomfortable. Maybe throw in a song that I know the crowd probably won't like, but it stirs up some emotions and feelings from that. Brazil through and through. Also, Lisbon was one of my favorite places to play, but Brazil just felt so raw. The energy there just felt so pure, and every time I've DJ'd there, I felt like the sky is gold, stars are out. I don't know, like it just felt so human and real in the music, and the crowds are always open and kind as well. I feel like some places you go to, I feel more nervous when I'm playing, but in Brazil, I've always felt pretty comfortable to go and bring myself to the table. Any type of feeling, honestly, because some people show up feeling angry and maybe my set was the release they needed. Some people show up socially anxious and they find themselves having danced a little bit, which they don't normally do. So being able to walk away with some kind of emotion coming from my set is the most important. And I think that's pretty powerful that music can move people in that way. And if I have the ability to make someone feel any type of way after, then I feel successful. Progress to me is being able to make any effort towards something that you want. I myself am my biggest bully when it comes to like what I consider success and what I consider progress. But when I look at people in my community, even just taking one step towards your goals, you want to start becoming more healthy, you start with one breakfast in the morning, that to me is considered progress. But also setting a goal list on a wall and achieving just one thing or working towards that is progress. Traveling the world has taught me that I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing at all. Professionally, it has taught me how to build my relationships with other people. I am always nervous coming up to people and meeting people, and when you're doing that in a new place or in a new language, that can be especially terrifying. So I think in a professional setting, it's taught me how to be more confident. Creatively, it's just taught me to open up my mind a little bit and not be so stuck on things that I think I know or think I want, because you go to a new city and you walk past a storefront and you see a beautiful shirt that you have never seen before. That inspires me creatively to think slightly different than I might have before. I love sewing and design, as you can see back here. I used to have an Etsy page when I was in 5th grade called Operation Sew Creation, and I sold these like little zip pouches and then these drawstring bags, and that was my like first love before anything. No, actually, when it comes to music, I think I'm a lot more meticulous about things and I have to get it right the first time and I know exactly what I want, but versus with my creative process in clothing, I'm willing to be a lot more experimental, more open to things changing and failing, which I could probably adopt for the music side of creative habits. Things like I made these pants, but then you can also see not as much up here as is as cohesive as the other projects. So when it comes to fashion and design, I'm more willing to be experimental with it. My favorite is this bag. Probably everybody on earth has seen me travel with it. I actually made it while I was in Brazil. It's just so funky and the straps are really unnecessarily long, which is my favorite part. These shorts are also something that I made while I was in Brazil. Not much to say, they're just really cool. and they fit super well, and I love like pleated kind of stuff, so you'll see that on most of my work, like these pants. And then the most recent thing that I made was these pants, which are like a multi-material. They kind of tie at the sides here and you can adjust them. So this was like my hardest project, making this from scratch. I also don't use any patterns, so most of it is DIY. This was something that I would knit while I was in some of my lectures, which you probably shouldn't do because I didn't pay attention, but this took me like 2 weeks to hand knit, and it has a little hood. I've worn it a lot for some sets and shoots. I really like the long sleeves. You can see I kind of do that with the bags as well. This one is reversible. I don't know if you can see kind of the silver on the inside, but I kind of like the contrast of the army pattern and then the shiny stuff. And then this pink one, which was absolute hell to make, is also another bag with a long strap, but it's more of like a quilted, thick, fleecy material. And lastly, these pants that I'm wearing were something more recent that I actually wore to a set back in New York. They have pockets too, which I think is pretty cool. And then a little tie detail here. I think it's really fun that I can make stuff that fits me and tailor it exactly to how I want. So that's probably my favorite part too, being able to create stuff. The most rewarding part about making things by hand is just like you finish with a physical product that you can wear and you can show people. And whenever people come up to me and they're like, I love the bag, me getting to say I made it is like, it's so cool. I made it. You can't get it anywhere else in the world. And also just being able to like focus on something with your hands and like feel materials, going to the fabric store, picking out a custom material for an item that you will use. It feels so good. I love a good romance story. I love a good dystopian book, so it'd probably be something more fun and lighthearted, maybe inspired by some of my travel experiences. I've had a lot of mentorship just from people that I've worked with or DJ'd with. The consistent advice that I get from people is to just do what I want to do. Don't let outside influences affect my own sense of self, sense of confidence, and to just continue with the goals that I set for myself. Now, a thing that's kind of a habit for me is I love a whiteboard because you can erase it so quickly, but I have one on my wall where I wake up and I can look at my own goals, and that's what I have to focus on. When you go on social media and all that stuff, I tend to get distracted and kind of let things get into my mind, but seeing a physical reminder of like, this is what I want and I'm not gonna let anyone else deter that, that's my kind of advice. I'm playing at Smart Bar in Chicago, which is going to be super exciting, March 14th. Some touring over the summer. I have a team now, so it's really cool to have things very formalized. This is the first year where I haven't had school or anything like really keeping me down with the schedule, so upcoming is very free and open to adventure. I have a YouTube series called Probably Somewhere Dancing. I think the experience of traveling, and also if people haven't watched, it's called Parts Unknown by Anthony Bourdain. That show series is where he goes to different places and he documents the food and culture there. As I've traveled and experienced music in different places, I felt inspired to share my own experiences. So I've done an episode in Chicago, in Brazil, and now in Joshua Tree. I just like being able to share kind of the music I've learned in each place. Obviously, I'm branded as house music, dance, DJ now, but there's so much music in the world to share, and it's exciting to be able to show this is one city that I visited, and here's what I learned from my own point of view. Maybe this is like so random and funny, but someone with like funky instruments, maybe one of those, what's it called? A theremin? Where you like hold it up and do that. That one's more random. It would be cool to see like Gilberto Gil or getting like an old samba legend in here, or even like a samba circle. I don't know if you could fit it. Maybe a samba oval. That would be really cool. My pitch is that we need more, not music collectives and DJ collectives and such. We need more creative collectives, like creative spaces. My best friend and I both came from the same program at USC, which was like within the film school of like thousands of kids. Our program was only 20 of us in our cohort, and each person had different skills in tech or hands-on creativity, and being able to learn from each person and learn their different stories was what helped push me to become who I am. And I think we need more spaces like that, whether it's like people in your neighborhood or your community, to get together and inspire other people and just learn basic skills off of other people that, I don't know, you can't learn everything off of TikTok and YouTube, and having someone hands-on who can teach you something is so important. That's my pitch.